This is the story of Henry, whose whole life has only one purpose: to rob his favorite bank. At the start of the story, we see Henry working at a toll booth. He works all night. As soon as morning comes, his shift ends, so he goes home. There we meet Henry's wife, Debbie, who is a nurse. Debbie's always worried about Henry because he doesn't give her much time, and she fears their relationship might break. Just then, someone knocks at the door. Henry opens it and finds his friend Eddie standing there, and with him another companion named Joe, who is feeling unwell and keeps vomiting. Henry asks them to come in. Eddie says they have a match today, but one man fell sick, so they're short a player. Eddie wants Henry to come with them. Henry agrees. They head toward the stadium. Two more men climb into the car and sit with them. As they approach the stadium, Eddie tells the driver to stop. The three put on masks and enter a bank. Once inside, a guard notices people going in. Henry, however, has no idea what's happening. He didn't see the three go into the bank. Suddenly, the three come running back out and flee. But the guard notices which car they used. He goes to the car and sees Henry inside. Henry had been wearing the same sort of t-shirt as the others, so the guard points a gun at him and has him arrested. During interrogation, Henry says nothing about his friends. Henry is charged with robbery and sentenced to 3 years in prison. In prison, Henry meets a man named Max, who is his cellmate. Max asks Henry why he's there. Henry replies, "The bank robbery." Next morning at breakfast, he says. Max tells Henry that most people in prison have big dreams, but took shortcuts to realize them. He asks Henry, "What's your dream?" Henry says he has no dream. 6 months pass this way. One day, Debbie comes to visit Henry and they talk for a long time. After a while, Henry realizes Debbie wants to tell him something, so he presses her. Debbie says she has found someone and wants to marry him. Henry replies that there's no shame in that. He's happy for her. "I've only ever caused you trouble. Marry him. I want you to be happy." Meanwhile, Max is telling the other inmates how many insults he received when he went for his parole hearing. Max behaves this way because he doesn't want to leave the prison. He has a life sentence. Still, every 6 months he gets a parole hearing and could go out if he chose. Max thinks there is nothing for him outside. This prison is his home. Henry tells Max that his own parole hearing is coming up. The other inmates tell Henry he will get parole because they all know he didn't commit the crime. One man tells Henry that the first rule for parole is never tell them you're innocent. Instead, say you committed the crime, express regret, and promise never to do it again. Then the officers will listen. Henry takes this to heart. At his next hearing, he follows that advice and gets parole. Henry goes to Debbie's house to collect his things and finds, to his shock, that Debbie's husband is none other than Joe, who was once Henry's friend. He also sees that Debbie is pregnant. Henry starts packing his things. Then Joe comes and says he started a new business and asks if Henry wants to work with him. Joe explains his scheme, but Henry doesn't understand and refuses. As Joe leaves, he thanks Henry, saying Henry didn't mention his name to anyone, so Joe was saved. Otherwise, he'd be in jail too. Henry leaves and stands outside the bank he was once arrested for, watching it. Suddenly, a car hits him and he falls to the ground. A girl gets out of the car, Julie, and starts scolding Henry for being on the road. Then the same policeman who arrested Henry earlier arrives. He helps both of them up and takes them to a nearby cafe. Henry tells Julie he's okay. The policeman and Julie then leave. A little later, when Henry goes to the restroom, he sees a newspaper clipping on the wall about how the bank was robbed long ago. The clipping mentions that there is a tunnel under the bank. Henry notices the tunnel entrance starting from a nearby theater. Henry goes to the prison and tells Max, "I found my dream. I want to rob the very bank that put me in prison." Max asks how Henry plans to do that. Henry says he needs Max's help. Max's parole hearing is coming up, and Henry wants Max to behave exactly as Henry tells him, so Max will be granted parole and rejoin the plan. Max says he can't promise anything. Henry peeks into the theater and sees Julie acting. Her director keeps scolding her, and she gets upset, so she tells the director she's going out for coffee. Outside, she meets Henry, and they go to the cafe. Max thanks Henry, saying if the roles had been reversed, Max might have filed an FIR against him. Henry is a good man. Meanwhile, Max goes to his parole hearing and does exactly what Henry taught him, so Max is granted parole. Henry is thrilled. He comes to pick Max up and takes him straight to the cafe to show him a map. Max looks at the map and scoffs. "Are you crazy? This map is ancient. Who knows if that tunnel even exists now? This idea is useless. If we want to rob the bank, we should gather weapons and some men, then go in." But Henry insists he's not a robber who will hurt anyone. He wants to do it quietly so nobody notices. Max distrusts the tunnel plan. He says first they should go near the bank. They enter the bank and Max talks to the manager, asking to see the vault. The manager shows him the vault. Max tells Henry to take him to the theater. At the theater, Julie shows up and is surprised to see the two of them. Max tries to charm Julie with stories, claiming he used to be an actor, and the theater manager calls Julie to rehearsal. Max asks the manager to show him around the theater, and the man agrees. Julie asks Henry if Max is his father. Henry says no, just a friend. Julie and Henry talk and get closer. Max is led to the wall where the alleged tunnel entrance is. He taps the wall repeatedly, then returns and tells Julie he will volunteer at the theater from tomorrow. He says he loves the theater. As they leave, Henry nervously asks Julie out on a date. She accepts. Later, Max tells Henry the plan. When they break through the theater wall, the debris will be huge, so they'll need more people to clear it. But Henry is more focused on his date with Julie. They go out. Julie tells Henry her dream. She's doing theater because she wants to act in films and go to LA or Hollywood. Henry encourages her, saying she will definitely go to Hollywood. After dropping Julie home, Henry confesses everything. He was recently released from prison. His friends framed him in the bank robbery, and he was innocent. Now he plans to actually rob that bank. There's a tunnel from the theater to the bank, and he will use it. Julie laughs at first, thinking he's joking. They eat ice cream, and Henry insists he's serious. Julie gives him a script to read. He reads it very well. Julie tells him he's a natural actor and then kisses him. They become intimate. Next morning, Henry takes Julie to his home. Max doesn't know about this, so when he sees Julie at the door, he gets frightened because he thinks he said something about where the trash from the tunnel should go. Henry reassures him that Julie already knows everything. Max explodes in anger and drags Henry into another room, demanding to know what he is doing. Henry says he's not hiding anything. He told Julie the truth. Their work begins. Every day they go to the theater, and Max continues refining the plan. One day, Max tells Henry that the tunnel route starts from the theater's green room. He wants Henry to join the acting crew, so he'll have a legitimate reason to be there. Henry wonders why they would hire him, but Max says to leave it to him. Max traps an actor and gets him to leave, then talks to Julie, because she said Henry is a natural actor, and she helps. Their work begins. They start breaking down the wall. But after the wall falls, the thing they feared happens. The tunnel entrance is full of debris. They can't advance because the rubble is massive, and 2 people aren't enough to clear it. So Henry goes to Joe and explains the plan and asks him to join. Joe agrees, saying his business is failing and he needs money. The 3 of them start working. One night, the same policeman who arrested Henry before shows up, and instead of arresting them, says he wants in on the plan. He explains he's retiring soon, and when his wife was sick, the bank refused him money. He lost his wife, and now he wants revenge. Not money, but to ruin the bank. He knows when the bank holds the most cash and offers to tell them. Hearing this, Max is troubled and asks why the policeman wants to do this. The policeman insists he wants to wreck the bank. The plan proceeds. Meanwhile, Henry and Julie become intimate again. Henry tells Julie he isn't robbing for money alone. He's doing it because that bank ruined his life and he wants a new beginning. Julie begins to understand Henry's motives. One day, Eddie comes to Henry's house and says he knows the whole truth and threatens them. Max gets angry because he knows Eddie is the one responsible for getting Henry into jail. But Eddie threatens them. So reluctantly, they must include Eddie in the group. Henry notices the play's opening night is near, and he's anxious. He doesn't know how they'll rob the bank. Max explains the rest, and they go back down to the tunnel to clear the remaining debris. Henry tells Julie he loves her and vows, on the first performance night of the play, he will rob the bank and then run away. Julie breaks down and tells him he used her, that his only aim had always been to rob the bank, and he never truly loved her. She tells him to leave. The play is about to begin. At the bank, all the money is in place, the right time to steal. As the play begins, they also begin executing the robbery. They move the money out. Henry must act on a stage. He performs his scene, then slips down to the tunnel to carry money out, then returns to his scene. After they've moved all the money out, Eddie betrays them again. He pulls a gun. Max fights him. Eddie knocks Max unconscious. Henry arrives and Eddie points a gun at him too. Max regains consciousness and attacks Eddie. A gun goes off. The bullet hits Henry in the leg. Max knocks Eddie out and ties him up in the tunnel. Henry must go back to the stage to finish his performance, despite his leg wound. He stages his scene and then returns, and they all get in the car to leave. On the way, Henry realizes he is doing something wrong. He tells the driver to stop. Max asks, "What's wrong?" Henry says, "Mike, I'm going to Julie. I'm not leaving without her." Max tries to understand, but Henry is firm. He gets out of the car and walks back. And the movie ends there. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like and subscribe to the channel. I'll see you soon with another great story.